Hi. We're going to be talking about when it comes to household chemicals, change is a good thing. Change is a good thing. And what are we talking about here? We're talking about helping people to understand some things that occur when they use chemicals in their homes, in their yard, and things done with the vehicles. So, and we're going to learn about changing to a chemical alternative. The things that I give you as an idea today, they're not the only ones. There's plenty more available. You can learn them by going on the computer, of course. A lot of people go on the computer. And you can go to the library, and the librarian will help you find information about this so you can take the steps that we're going to be talking about. And we're also going to be talking about changing the way we use chemicals and changing how we dispose of those same chemicals. So let's get started with changing to a chemical alternative for several different ideas in your home. One of them is it includes peroxide, and that works great to clean the inside of a refrigerator, a coffee pot, and even your cutting boards. And you still have to handle it carefully. Just because it's an alternative to some of the chemicals that we use right now doesn't mean that they're safe to drink or to leave out for anybody, like little kids. So we got to be careful with all that. So let's go on. So first of all, we got peroxide is great to clean the inside of a refrigerator, coffee pot, and even your cutting boards, and I can attest to that. Now, baking soda and vinegar can be used in the bathroom or for kitchen appliances. Olive oil together with vinegar works well as a furniture polish. And that was a new one to me, but actually it's an old one and it works very well. You can tackle lingering smells in upholstery by combining baking soda, water, and any essential oil and spray. And there you go. Now, Castile soap, C-A-S-T-I-L-E, Castile soap, or maybe castile soap, I'm not sure about that, but I've always read it Castile. So Castile soap found at your local grocery store can be mixed with water for an all-purpose cleaner. And then finally we have here the acidity of lemon juice is strong and can break down some tough stains on clothing. So if you got some clothing you're not sure you've done everything you could with it, put some lemon juice on it or let it soak in, wash it up and see what happens. And let's talk about changing to a chemical alternative in your yard, in our yards. Now the first one is mulch. The idea is to mulch your grass and leaves into your yard to act as a natural fertilizer and keep grass along the way at a 3-inch height, which encourages deeper roots, which resists pests and weeds. And I can again attest for grass and leaves being mulched in. I haven't had to discard any of that material for the last at least 5 years. Taking care of all of that, none in a bag. You can also look for a compost-based lawn food instead of a chemical-based fertilizer. The chemical-based fertilizers have all sorts of strange chemicals, and you never quite know where they came from or if they were manufactured. Some of them are naturally occurring, but still dangerous, and others are manufactured and still dangerous. So try out, take a look for a compost-based one and follow those instructions and see what happens. Native plants are adapted to local soil and climate, and many of them around here, around my home, and across every location in the United States and all around the world, the local plants are adapted to native plants are adapted to local soil and climate conditions, and they require less fertilizer and naturally resist pests in the area and diseases, eliminating the need for pesticides because they've already taken care of themselves. They're living here. They've been living here for perhaps millions of years or however long it's been. So again, in your yard, use horticultural soaps or oils in spot spray instead of using pesticides. To deter rodents, use cedar chips, lavender, or white peppercorns instead of mothballs. Mothballs contain chemicals and are considered poisonous. So you don't mess with that. The dogs can get them, the kids can get them, just nasty all around. It's great for storing moth stuff, but no, not in the yard. So let's change to a chemical alternative with our vehicles. We're going to wash cars and boats with a phosphate-free soap and avoid solvent-based cleaners. Use water, a coarse cloth, and elbow grease to clean your vehicles. Yeah, I'm telling you to work harder. Oh my goodness. Natural cleaners like baking soda, borax, and lemon or lime juice can be used on both cars and boats. Check it out with the manufacturers, you'll see. If your car leaks on pavement, clean it up promptly using an appropriate absorbent material such as cat litter and dispose of it properly. Use your local car wash, which sends the wash water to the sewer system to be treated instead of in your driveway, where the wash water goes to the storm drain and into the rivers and streams directly. We don't want that to happen, and that's the way it is in a lot of the communities still here in Southeast Michigan. The water comes off the road, goes in these drains, and whoosh, within a few minutes, it's in the local water course, wreaking havoc. Now let's change the way we use those chemicals. Let's see what we got here. In our homes, we can follow the directions on the cleaning products. A little usually goes a long way. You don't have to use even half as much sometimes as even what they state to do, and you can look that up and do your own testing. Now, properly store and use chemicals in their original containers. Use rechargeable batteries when possible to reduce disposal of batteries which contain harmful chemicals. Septic system owners should avoid rinsing chemicals down the sink drain, which can actually kill the beneficial bacteria, reducing the efficiency of your system. Supplements and additives in septic systems generally do not improve operation, and some may actually harm your system and can cause groundwater contamination. Whoa. In your yard, change the way you use chemicals in your yard. Let's take a look at this. Don't overuse pesticides, which contain hazardous chemicals that can travel through the soil and contaminate groundwater. So I'm taking that one seriously. I'm taking all of these seriously. Consider fertilizing only once a year, which is what we do. Late summer, early fall, when roots store nutrients over the winter months for future use in the spring growth season. Next, we have sweep excess fertilizer particles off paved surfaces and back onto the lawn. Use those up efficiently. Don't fertilize right away, right before a heavy rain. Don't do it right before a heavy rain, because the sprinkler or hose to lightly use the sprinkler or hose to lightly water after fertilizing to move the nutrients into the root zone of the soil. So get them off the plant leaves and down into the ground. Don't want to burn the plant leaves in the first place. And we do want to get that in the soil so it doesn't blow away or move away. Use less salt in winter by shoveling early and often, or spray a brine, a mix of 1.5 gallons of hot water and 3 to 4 cups of rock or table salt before it grows and before it snows. And we'll be talking about brine in the future. We'll be talking about other ways to eliminate ice, but we're just starting with this one right here. So change the way you use chemicals with your vehicles. Wash your car in the grass. That's a new one for me. Wash your car in the grass, which acts as a filter instead of the driveway, where the wash water goes into the storm drain and directly to the river, just like those other chemicals. And this is true. We used to do this all the time when I was out in the country. Use appropriate containers, of course, to store gas, oil, transmission fluid, and power steering fluid. And of course, keep them away from the home. You don't want them in the home. You want them outside. You don't want them in the house. That's a fire thing too. So use less salt in winter. Okay, we did that one already. Use appropriate containers. Sweep your garage and dispose of debris in the trash to clean the floor instead of hosing it down with the water, where any contaminants goes into the storm drain, and your local storm drain goes into the city storm or town storm drain, the community storm drain, down, right out to the river, right out to the water courses, where it creates a lot of problems. Now with your vehicles, finally, work rags soaked with car fluids, which can cause spontaneous combustion fires, can be stored in a large container with a lid like a drywall compound bucket. Fill it halfway with water and a cup or two of powdered liquid laundry detergent and mix completely. Keep the lid on at all times and submerge used rags in the solution. You know what I do? When I'm done with them, they're on the way out. They're packaged carefully and they're disposed of properly. Sometimes if it's got some nasty stuff on it, I'll go to the local cleanup and drop it off over there so they can take care of it properly. Or I follow the rules that are provided to me by my local refuse people. I do not store these things around here. Not going to happen. And then finally, we're going to learn about how to change the method of disposal of chemicals. And we're going to start with the home. So we never want to dump cleaners, paints, or oils down a storm drain, because again, it goes down there and it gets transported, and now it's in the waterway, the water courses. And that's eventually going to make it down to where we take the water back up and drink and bring it to our homes. And they don't test for any of these things. They have a certain number of chemicals that they test for, but none of the things that we're talking about, they don't test for those things. So we need to keep them out. Read the label of cleaners for disposal instructions. Some can be disposed of in the same way as they're used, like down a toilet or sink. But don't do it if you have a septic system. Just don't do that stuff, because you can mess that up. Look for take-back programs, as we mentioned earlier, to dispose of prescription medication and other chemicals Never flush those down a toilet because they can end up polluting the water and they impact fish and wildlife, actually changing their ability to reproduce, live, and do the whole thing. It's kind of nasty. And it can also contaminate food and water supplies. Now how does it contaminate food supplies? If it gets into farming water and it gets taken up, these things have not broken down, and now what are you doing? You're eating a piece of corn there, and you got like a residue of some chemical in it. So check local hardware stores for take-back programs for fluorescent light bulbs and batteries. Dispose of cleaning supplies, paints, stains, oven cleaners, aerosol cans, etc. at a household hazardous waste collection event in your community. Love those household hazardous waste collection events. In your yard, never dump excess fertilizer or pesticides down a storm drain. We're back at the storm drain. And why don't we put stuff down a storm drain? We already know that, right? It goes down a storm drain, right out to the water. Now it's in the water courses, and it's creating all sorts of problems. These fertilizers and pesticides should be disposed of through the community's household hazardous waste collection event, or check with stores that sell the product to see if they'll take some back that you didn't use. See if they got a disposal program. Don't dump chemicals on the ground or into your own septic system or anybody's septic system. This could cause materials to seep into the soils nearby and contaminate the groundwater supply. And though it may start out in a small area, these things spread and spread and spread. Look, I'm already off the screen. It goes all over the place. Don't always pick up pet waste promptly and dispose of it in the trash, even in the winter. When it rains or the snow melts, bacteria from pet waste that isn't picked up can wash directly into storm drains and drainage ditches and eventually into the streams and rivers. And then the waters, which are already overloaded dealing with other things, has to try to do something with that. And quite frankly, at least in Southeast Michigan, they're not dealing with it at all. They've been totally overloaded, and we need to do something about that. So let's change how to dispose of vehicles let's dispose of chemicals with our vehicles, associated with our vehicles. We want to dispose of vehicle fluids like oil, transmission fluid, and brake and power steering fluids at a participating collection site like a car repair shop, or you can take the fluids to a household hazardous waste collection event. You may see some of the material in local ditches. Well, you can report it or try to get it out yourself, but be careful if you do that. Excess antifreeze and windshield washer fluid should be taken to a household hazardous waste collection event. And then those rags you use, what we were talking about, when changing car fluid, should also be disposed of at a household hazardous waste collection event. Bye-bye, see you around. Don't keep them in the house. I don't keep them in the house. I don't keep them around my house. Old car or boat batteries may be taken back to the retailer you bought it from for a refund of the car deposit. And there's also places that refurbish batteries, and there may be one in your area. There's one not too far from my home right now. If I got an old battery and I can't, I don't want to turn it in over here or turn it over there, they will take the thing and refurbish it or use the parts within it to make new batteries and do other work with it, and also dispose of whatever they're not going to be using. Whew, this is a long one, huh? But let's see why we should change our chemical habits. I think it's kind of clear to everybody. Our actions with fertilizers, pesticides, cleaners, vehicle fluids, and other household chemicals directly affect the health of the water quality in the Rouge River watershed and in any watershed you're in. Neuse River, Tar River, Hudson River, Potomac River, Passaic River, Columbia River, Niagara River, Huron River. All these rivers are impacted by fertilizers, pesticides, cleaners, vehicle fluids, and other household chemicals. It impacts us directly. Everyone around us is impacted. Wildlife and their habitat is impacted. It's a very sad thing to walk into a woodland area and not hear anything. And that's because they've been exposed to poisonous water, and that's a problem. Even the communities downstream from us. So let's say you got one group, we'll just say it, one group is pouring all stuff in there, blah, 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 blah. And everybody down here's got to deal with all that because they're probably dumping stuff in there too. Now it's all added up. It gets worse and worse as you go down river. And let's take a look at what a watershed is. And everybody's got a watershed, even the guys out in the desert. It may be down in the ground, but everybody's got a watershed. It's also referred to as a drainage basin, which is not as cool sounding, right? A drainage basin. It's a land area that delivers rain and snow, ice melt to a stream or lake. And everybody who lives in Michigan, everybody who lives in the United States, and everybody who lives in the world lives in a watershed. We're all in a watershed. Let's take care of them together. Thanks for listening and have a great day.